Greetings, justice seekers. Welcome to Justice, Not Justice, Season 1, Episode 30. All right, so we are in early February, early March of 2019. Jamie's third attempt at a temporary restraining order was thrown out in court. Various shenanigans going around. I'm not going to go through all the details of them because they're not particular. It's kind of more of the same, but real quickly, they had a hearing on March 22nd, a pre-trial in front of Jane Carroll, and Jeremiah was completely railroaded by Bangert, who completely monopolized the hearing, interrupted a lot, and of course, Judge Carroll only listened to Bangert. So we came out of that with an order that was completely erroneous, like crazily like just based on fantasy. But it's in order. Completely, like as soon as Jeremiah walks out the courtroom, he's going to be in contempt because he cannot comply with these provisions. It's just not possible. And we filed a lengthy 9 to 11 page response to it, which was probably ignored. Okay, I'm going to move on and kind of flash back to one of my video a couple of times ago where I had mentioned that we sent out a letter to clients, existing and prior clients that are people in family court who had Bangert as a GAL, just saying if you had a negative experience with her, please let us know, because we're starting to get pretty clear indication that this might be a pattern, this way of behaving, this thing that she's doing. And as I mentioned in the video, we started getting phone calls and text messages from people, men. And so we're having conversations with these people, and their stories are just remarkably similar. And what was really noticeable about them was that they were all terrified of Bangert. In other words, they didn't want for her to know that they were talking to us. They wouldn't reveal certain things like who your judge is, do you have an attorney? And the only reason why I was asking questions like that was to see if there was any patterns among the judges or whatever, but they were terrified. They were literally terrified that if anybody found out that they had some dissatisfaction with Bangert, that she was gonna take their kids away. Absolutely terrified. Some of them wouldn't even tell us their full names, this kind of thing. So this is really disturbing, and at this point I start reaching out to the media because I feel like there's something seriously awry going on. And in particular, we were trying to get Fox News' investigative team to jump on this, and here we go back to that issue that I brought up many videos ago about CCAP and what's in there, CCAP being the public source of events in Wisconsin about civil court, whatever. Anyway, how what is put in there is not necessarily always complete or accurate or whatever. And similar to when we filed a complaint against Bangert and the director went into CCAP and said, oh, I see she's suspended your placement, so no wonder you're reaching out to us. Fox 6 News did the exact same thing. They said, Brian Pulsick, I think his name is, lead investigative reporter over there, said, oh, I'm looking at your file and I see blah, blah, blah. So it's no surprise to me that you're reaching out right now. He just wouldn't hear a thing about it. And that was unfortunate. However, we did get some interest at the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and I will come back to that later. Some pretty, significant interest. But what ended up happening during this period of time is that Bangert got wind of it. Bangert got wind of the fact that we were communicating with others of her clients. And at the beginning of May in 2019, she filed an emergency hearing to limit Jeremiah's communications. Okay, so I'm going to just go back for a second. In the meantime, we also had been writing reviews of her and putting it on Google and Avvo and all these other Yelp, places where it's legitimate to go in and leave a review. We had started to do that, and she caught wind of it. So with her little power, she on May 8th requested an emergency hearing to be held the very next day, and she was granted it. And we just stumbled upon the fact that there was a hearing because not only did she file this emergency hearing to be heard the very next day about this is an emergency. She filed it ex parte, and what that means is that it means that not all parties have to be present. So in other words, she can file this ex parte, and if it's granted, then the other parties don't have to be able to be there to represent themselves, okay? So she filed it like that because she didn't want us to show up. Somehow we caught wind of it. We went there the very next day, and we listened to everything, and Jeremiah tried to respond and answer and so forth. And basically, I mean, the judge, Carroll, didn't listen to any of it, of course. And she awarded the order that limited Jeremiah's communications. And basically it said, you may not, during the pendency of this divorce, you may not speak about Lisa Banger, contact anybody, blah, 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 blah. During the hearing, and as the judge was kind of talking about the conclusion and putting her order together, she called Jeremiah stalkerish. During the hearing, she said, what is the purpose of this? What are you trying to accomplish by doing this? And rather than like thinking it through herself and being like, well, because he tried to explain that we think there's a pattern here and we've been in touch with a number of people. And instead of her being like, wow, maybe I should really pay attention to this and listen to this, she chose instead to characterize Jeremiah as stalkerish. I mean, why would he stalk Lisa Banger? Come on now, this is ridiculous. But she said that. And so all of these orders were put into place that said that he can't talk about Lisa Banger, write reviews, whatever, okay? And here's the other thing that the judge said. She said, they basically said, we know it's not you who's doing this, we know that it's Kristen. And she said, anything that Kristen does, I am going to attribute to you and hold you accountable for it. Is that even legal? I mean, how can you hold another adult's behavior accountable to another adult? But she did. I'll see you soon.